Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Hulk issue 1. And before I start talking about this issue, just want to give you guys a couple updates. Of course, I have Comic Uno episode 176, and that show will review all the comics I read this week in one show. So if you want to go check that out, that'll be annotated on Friday. Also in the description below, there will be links for, or actually the titles of the exclusive comics for that show. So go check that out. But let's start talking about Hulk issue 1. So next to Hawkeye, this was definitely my most anticipated book for Marvel now. I am a huge Jen Walters fan, and I like that they are stripping the character down a bit more. Even though I had fun with Charles Soule's run, it was kind of more of just a fun series. It didn't really go into the psyche of Jen, and it focused on a lot of characters. It was more of an ensemble book. But here, this is about Jen Walters. It's about getting into her head. So the cover is beautiful here. We have Jen turning into the Hulk, and this is a Hulk book. It's not a She-Hulk book. So will Jen be dealing with the things that we've seen Bruce deal with for his whole career? So let's start talking about the artwork first, which I really liked for this title. I like that it's a bit more simple. It's definitely more simplistic because it goes back to kind of the plain Jane-ness of Jen. That was kind of the introduction of her character when she was introduced in, the 80s. She was a plain Jane character before she was the Hulk. And also must give compliments to the coloring. I love the slight greens in almost every panel to really set the tone of this is a Hulk book, and even though Jen is in her human form, the Hulk is always in her mind. So I loved that almost every panel had some shade of green. So even though there were other colors mixed into these panels, you do have that slight greenness to every panel, which I love that attention to detail. But let's get into the story. So with this issue, we get to see Jen dealing with her life post being attacked by Thanos and the whole Civil War II stuff. So with her cousin dying and friends betraying her, really. So now she is just Jen Walters. She's not She-Hulk, and you wonder, why is this happening? It's because she's dealing with trauma. As She-Hulk, what was always interesting about her character is that she was always different from Bruce. Bruce was angry. That's how he became Hulk. With Jen, she was comfortable with being Hulk. She didn't have Hulk speak. She just talked normally. When she became She-Hulk, that is when she became confident. Before she was She-Hulk, she was, again, more of a plain character. She didn't have a lot of confidence. And then she became this 7-foot person, and she gained that confidence. So now we're getting to see her back to who Jen Walters used to be. Of course, she obviously still has the history of being Hulk, so she's comfortable in that skin, but there's something wrong, because of this trauma. She has to live with it, but she doesn't really know how. And that's what this whole book is about. It's about trying to get into a normal routine again. And for Jen, she's ignoring her problems. And in the end, it kind of explodes. There's this one person who wants to write a book on her and her trauma, and this really brings her trauma back to the surface where she was trying to hide it. And you have some wonderful panels of her fighting off the Hulk, or at least fighting off this trauma that's causing her to have pain as the Hulk, where she says she's never had that before. But again, something that was very similar with Bruce is that that's something he had to deal with. Jen never had to. So I really enjoyed this book because I always liked the Jen Walters where we could get to see both the Hulk or the She-Hulk and Jen Walters. The last time we really saw that was in probably the early 2000s with Dan Slott's run, one of the longer running She-Hulk runs. And then if you go back to the old She-Hulk run, that was kind of the basis. She was Jen Walters and She-Hulk at the same time. But then over time, she was just always She-Hulk. You never really got to see the human side of Jen Walters because Jen was always able to control her Hulk side, so she was able to be Hulk all the time. And I hope this book is about balance. I would really like to see the Jen Walters human side every once in a while because I feel she's never dealt with the fear of being normal, and I feel like this book could really do that, really show that being the human Jen Walters is okay, and then, you know, being the human Jen Walters and the Hulk Jen Walters are the same person. So I'm hoping she'll deal with those self-consciousness or self-ideas, because that's something that I feel like the character hasn't really dealt with, because she's always Hulk. So I think this could really go into Jen's mind, into her psyche, and that's what I really liked here. I will say this is a bit of a slower issue, but it's a needed slower issue. It's literally about taking it day by day, showing a normal day of Jen Walters in her dealing with her trauma. So I really liked it, and the story with her new client is interesting. We get a little dash of what that's about, that she loves staying at home. She's like talking to nobody in the end of the issue. So we'll have to see what her idea is and if this will bring trouble to Jen. But I like that she's dealing with some supernatural cases still, even though she's in more of a normal law firm. It's her old law firm. It's nice that she's still dealing with that. So I like this issue. Like I said, it's a slower issue, but it's meant to be slow. It's supposed to show the day-to-day life of Jen Walters. So I thought this was a great first issue. I can't wait to read more. Was very excited to read this issue, and I think it really met my hype. So Hulk issue 1 for me gets 4.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.